All right, so today we are starting solving inequalities, day 1. So mostly one step and some two-step inequalities. So for number 1 here, we have x minus 15 is equal to negative 12. So pretend there's an equal sign in between the two sides. So pretend there's an equal sign right here. We would solve this just like we did last chapter. So I'm going to add 15. So then I'm left with x is greater than 3. So since x isn't equal to 3, it's any number that's bigger than 3, we get to show our answer with this graph. So I make 3 tick marks. My middle tick mark is where my answer goes. So since 3 was my answer, 3 goes there. I go one bigger than 3, one smaller than 3. Now, since it is a greater than symbol, it is an open circle. And it's the symbol here, if I were to make it into an arrow, is pointing to the right. So I shade to the right. Then my interval notation, it is a parenthesis because it's an open circle. A 3, that's where the answers are starting. And then all the way to positive infinity with a parenthesis. So I'm just getting this information from this graph. Open circle means parenthesis, goes on forever. That's where I get my infinity. So now if we look at number 4, I'm still solving for y. So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. So I get negative 13 is greater than or equal to y. We always want the letter on the left side. So I need to rewrite this. So y is on the left, and then my sign needs to be consistent. So right now, it is eating this negative 13. It still needs to be eating the negative 13. So then I'm good. Now I can go ahead and graph. If you don't rewrite it, you are going to shade the wrong direction, and your entire problem is going to be incorrect. All right, so less than or equal to means a closed circle. So I have a closed circle. It's pointing to the left, so I shade to the left. Now, my interval notation, it's going really, really, really small, really negative. So I have parentheses, negative infinity. That's my smaller of the two. And it goes all the way to negative 13, and then a bracket because it is a closed-in circle. All right, go ahead and flip your paper over. We're going to do number 6 here. So number 6, we have 2 fractions, so it looks a little weird, but I'm still going to solve it like I would if there's an equal sign. So I need to multiply both sides by 8 to cancel out those 8s. So I just have C, and then less than, let's do 8 over 1. So I can do top times top, bottom times bottom. So negative 1 times 8 is negative 8. 4 times 1 is 4. Then I'll reduce this. So negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. And now I can graph. So I have negative 2 in the middle, negative 1, and negative 3. So I have an open circle, and I'm shading to the left. Now my interval notation, I have negative infinity. It's getting really, really, really small, all the way to negative 2 with a parenthesis because it is an open circle. All right, now number 7 here. We have negative 4x is less than or equal to 16. So I need to divide by negative 4. This is where it gets interesting. Whenever you multiply or divide by a negative, you flip your sign. So I'm going to have x is now greater than or equal to negative 4. When you multiply or divide, so let me write this down. Flip your sign when you multiply by a negative or divide by a negative. Always, because when you multiply or divide by a negative, it screws everything up. So we have to flip our signs so our answers are correct. So then I have negative 4, negative 3, and negative 5. A closed circle, and the arrow's pointing towards the right. So shade that in. Okay, so this is very important. That's probably the hardest part of today. All right, then last one, we're going to go down and do number 11. So I'm going to add 27 to both sides. Okay, so I have negative 9n is less than or equal to negative 54. I need to divide both sides by negative 9. So think, oh, I'm dividing by a negative number. I need to flip my sign. So I have n now is greater than or equal to positive 6. Then you can go ahead and graph. So I have a closed circle, greater than. Okay, so today, in summary, whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, you flip your sign. And you always want your letter on the left, so you may need to rewrite your inequality answer so the letter is on the left-hand side.